Welcome home to St. Anne's. We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you. Please be seated. I feel like I need to hitch my pants up too now. It's a family problem, people. It's a family problem. All right. So we've been talking about the bread of life for a few weeks now. And I know that's something we've talked, is this week 3 that we've been talking about this? But I think what's really important to talk about today is the response, the reaction that people have to Jesus' teaching. Because stuff just got hard for the disciples. Now, I'm going to take a step back because it's been a lot of fun to be with Jesus. I know that in our culture, we frequently talk about Jesus like, oh, he's this ascetic, good boy, and he would never do anything bad. No, that's not true. Jesus was a good old boy. That's why a lot of people are like, are you sure this is the Messiah? Because Jesus likes to party. He likes to hang out with people. He jokes a lot. He likes to drink. He enjoys everything. He enjoys life to its fullest. So a lot of people at that time are like, wait, Messiah is having too much fun. So if you can imagine following around with somebody who is your best buddy, like the person that you want to go out clubbing with, that's Jesus. So if you can imagine, you got to leave off your fishing, your working, and all that stuff, and you got to hang out with your besties all the time. How amazing would that be? Pretty awesome, right? However, Jesus starts talking these other things. And they're like, so when it's, here and there, and Jesus is preaching, you're like, well, that's really cool. He does miracles. So not only is your best friend a lot of fun, but he does some pretty awesome things. He preaches well. He heals people. It's a lot of fun to be around Jesus. But then things with Jesus start to get real. And some of these teachings are hard. I don't know if you're a Christian like me who sometimes struggles with this whole Christian thing, this whole loving everybody. Have you met people? Have you met them? Have you? No, loving them is not easy. I'm good with dogs. I'm good with most animals. I'm good with plants. But then you introduce all these people-y people, and it gets hard. And Jesus is like, no, you got to love all of them. And they're like, wait, all? And he's like, yeah, all. And they're like, those all? Have you met those all? Yeah, those two. And he's like, oh. So would you imagine that people start bailing? They're like, wait, you are saying that we have to do all these things and live in this way? Nope, I'm out. Remember those good old days when you were turning water into wine? That was fun. This whole loving everybody, sacrificing thing, I'm out. These teachings are too hard for me. Anyone else, besides me, anyone else in this room ever struggled with something that was hard? I'm only slightly judging you if you didn't put your hand up. We all struggle with hard. We all struggle with change. And that is so very, very important. And that's what I think we all need to talk about today. Because we all, every single one of us, I promise you, I don't know where you are or what's going on, but I promise you, you have something that you are struggling to change. You have a hard thing. Because we have hard things. Super hard things. Super hard changes that you and I are called to make. It's part of that humanness. So every single one of us is struggling to change something. I promise you. And here's the thing about change. Our brains, we don't like to do it. Have you ever had a friend or you've seen somebody in an abusive, bad relationship and you're like, why don't they just change? Why don't they just get out of it? Right? that unempathic part of you that's frustrated because you're listening to them all the time complain about this thing in their life, and you, because you're outside of it, are like, just stop. Just get out. Just change. Just stop doing that thing, right? Did you know the human brain is not interested in change? It's not. The human brain's job is to keep you safe. And it's not a terribly creative organ because it bases everything on its previous experiences. Everything. That's why trauma is such a big deal. So your brain has no interest in changing at all because it knows what it's experienced before. It has learned pathways, neural pathways, to manage what has happened to it before. It likes what it has experienced. Now, it may not be a good thing. It may be a dangerous thing. It may be a bad thing. It may be unpleasant. But it is a thing that is known. Have you ever heard the saying, better the devil you know than the better the devil you don't? That's where this comes from. It's the most anti-Christian statement ever. Like, literally, the next time someone says to you, better the devil you know than the devil you don't, feel free to punch them and be like, yeah, no. Because that ain't true. Because it is human reaction to feel that way. Because here's the thing. You and I love to be comfortable. We love what is known because it's comfortable and we know how to manage and deal with it. So even if you're in a horrible, awful situation, you will stay in it because you know it, even though you know for sure, you know, all the studies tell you, all the research tells you, your therapist tells you, your priest tells you, your best friend tells you, here's what you need to do. But you're like, I can't. You're crippled. You can't. Because your brain knows, but I know this neural pathway. I know how to do this thing. And yeah, it's miserable sometimes, but it's easier to just complain about it than to do this whole new thing that's different and hard. And so what do the disciples say? This is a hard teaching. Who can accept it? This is hard. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. I can't. I won't. It cannot be done. That's where we go in our brain. And I know every single one of us in this room is struggling with something right now that you're like, I can't do that. I know that seems like a great idea, and that's all nice and everything. And my bestie told me that I should, and my priest told me I should, and my therapist told me I should, but I can't. And this is something that we really have to reflect on because this is a time of year when there's a lot of change happening, right? What is the big thing that we're celebrating in today? Going back to school, right? And one of the things that we celebrate things that are hard. We celebrate life events that are hard because it's a good hard. It's a good change, but it's also a scary change. This whole newness. There are all sorts of new things in our world. And fall is kind of that way too. There's a newness and a change. And so we mark those things as humans because they're important. But here's the deal. All of us in our own way are going through an autumn. The leaves are changing. Did you know the leaves don't actually change? Now, the diocese is going to publish something I wrote. But I'm pretty sure none of you read any of that anyway, so I can double dip and tell this cool story that I wrote. Because I know you're not going to read it. You didn't even know that I wrote things, did you? I do. Anyway, so cute. Anyway, so I can double dip and I can use this again. Did you know that leaves don't change? They're not changing. They're that color all the time. We think that leaves are changing, but what really happens is that, it's sciencey stuff, and you guys are more sciencey than I am. But anyway, they turn green due to the interaction, right? So in fall, leaves are becoming who they are. We think of it as change, but it isn't. It's becoming who they truly are. We feel like we are being called to change, but what if what Jesus is calling us to is to become who we truly are? But because we're so dead set in these neural pathways, that we don't even know what it means to be who we truly are. Because all this stuff gets pushed on us all the time. And it's easy to accept those things. It's hard to follow Christ. It is hard. And I know I preach this all the time, but I will be the first to tell you it is hard, right? I mean, I'm going to go back to that. Have you met people? It is hard. But what if, like the leaves, we've just been going with the flow of what we were supposed to do according to all these messages around us, all these beliefs that we have about ourselves? When in truth, we're being called to become who we truly are, who God truly calls us to be. And I get that that's hard because, like I said, I study brains. I get how brains work. So when we talk about change, when you go to your therapist or your school counselor or your priest or your bestie or whatever, what we're going to do is we're going to tell you to change one little thing at a time. One little thing. And then we're going to celebrate that thing. Because we're going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to push, right? We're going to push that comfort zone just a little bit, but enough that you can do it. Because if you wake up, if you've been smoking for 25 years, and you're like, I'm going to stop smoking, there are like 5 people in the world who can do that. Most of us are not one of them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit at a time. Just a teeny tiny bit. We're going to push that comfort level just a little bit. And then when you get there, we're going to celebrate that. And then we're going to push it just a little bit more. And we're going to celebrate that. Have you noticed that's what Jesus is doing with the disciples? Have you noticed? There's a pattern here. We're going to have fun. We're going to celebrate. We're going to be okay with each other. We're going to build these relationships. And then when we're in that place, we're going to push just a little bit. And when we get to that place and we're who we're supposed to be, we're going to push it a little bit more. And slowly, over time, we will become the people that we are called to be. Just a little bit at a time. Good news, you have an entire lifetime to work on this. Hey-o, that's exciting. So here's what you and I are called to do. I want you to think this week. What is that thing? What is that thing? And I know you have one. I know I have one. We all have them. Or those things that we know in our heart of hearts needs to change. Those things that are this teaching is too hard. I can't do it. And so we run away. We leave. What is that thing? Choose one. And then, just a teeny tiny bit, I want you to take one tiny step. One tiny step toward it. Not a huge, enormous thing. Maybe not anything that anyone else around you is even going to notice. But it's going to be a teeny tiny little step. And then we're going to celebrate it. You are going to celebrate it. And maybe because it's such a tiny step and you don't want anyone else to know that you're moving in that direction, you only celebrate by yourself and with God. And that's okay too. And I promise you, with every teeny tiny step we take, we become who we truly are. Because guys, we're not all green. We're not all green like the leaves. We are all sorts of beautiful, incredible shades of difference. Every single one of us. And when we can truly accept what Jesus is calling us to do, we will become that beautiful, wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong, I love spring when everything goes green, but when is it really, truly beautiful? When are you like, whoa? It's when you see all the different fall leaves, right? Am I the only person who, I forgive Missouri these 99-degree, 500% humidity days because I know fall is coming and it's beautiful. You and I, fall is coming and it's beautiful. And we too are becoming and it's beautiful.
We want you to know that you're welcome to join us at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Please be sure to hit subscribe to receive our sermons. We can't wait to meet you.